That's what I was going to do, too. I was going to bring up the show notes. I was going to do some stuff. I was going to do things. Things were going to happen. I was going to do them, and they were going to be good. Because it'd be good. I did read all the articles. I even followed links. Okay.
We are live.
Yeah. I did things. Oh, look at that. We are live. I did things. Things were done. Everybody, welcome to Practical Chrome. Has pretense gone out the window? I'm just double checking. Okay, never mind. Okay. Everyone, welcome to Practical Chrome, the show dedicated to everything Chrome. Whether that be Chrome on your Chromebook, which is based on Chrome, or that be on your mobile device, or that be on, anything you have with Chrome on it. If you can fit Chrome onto something, whether that be, your Chrome teeth, I don't know, whatever, we'll talk about it. But we do talk about the news and everything Chrome related here on Practical Chrome. Someone hit the live button, and I'm having a moment. As you well know, I might get the giggles. Everyone just calm down. Listen, just calm down and follow me, and that's how we'll play this evening, okay? But everyone, again, welcome to Practical Chrome. And it's been a while, and I would, of course, like to welcome the morals that make up my morality, Craig Tumbleson and James Welbus. Craig, how are you doing this evening, sir?
The pause was intentional. I just wanted to make sure we were live before I started talking. I'm doing pretty well, John. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. I'm having good. I'm doing the thing with my Bluetooth. James, found out the Bluetooth was working. The microphones were working. So I jumped and grabbed mine, and I'm feeling good. You know what I feel is I feel sexy. That's what I feel, to be honest. I feel like I've got like this air of awesome going on. But otherwise, James, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Well, I was doing all right. Then I got some strange images in my head about 5 seconds ago.
I'm not going to ask. Okay, I'm glad you're doing well. Craig, I want to start off this because this is gonna be a news show. That's how we roll. It's news all the time. News. I really did want to do an episode with the what did we want to talk about? Security minded. I thought that would have been a good episode. But anyway, and the lack of people's.
Boring.
I know.
Nobody wants to talk about security.
Let's talk about people's rights on the internet.
That is a good topic.
Just changing the channel now. But Craig, it's been a week and a half since we've been on the air, and I want to know where you are Chrome-wise, right? Where are you? Where's Craig Tumbleson in the Chromosphere? What are your thoughts on Chrome? Right this minute. Over the last week and a half, it's been a little bit of time. Where's Craig?
Craig is in essentially the same place as Craig was previously. If you've got a map handy and you've been tracking Craig, he hasn't moved much. The needle's pretty much holding steady. I'm just as happy with Chrome as I've been in the past. What are you getting at here, John? Are you trying to kind of push me toward the news about what's happened lately with Chrome? Because that's fine, but that's not what your lead-in was. I'm still trying to make sense of what you were trying to say.
I guess it comes from my own experience over the last week and a half, and I wanted to know, like we talk about Chrome all the time, right? So, I mean, has it fulfilled all of your needs in the past week and a half as expressly as you thought it would?
All right, John, what went wrong this week?
James, how about you?
Well, I can't say that Chrome has fulfilled all my needs, but it's fulfilled my.
It didn't feed you. It didn't clothe you.
No. Although this shirt was purchased online via Chrome, so Chrome kind of clothed me.
Okay, I'll go on.
fun fact, they also put a watermark on it before it got to them. So.
Well, there you go. See, I'm learning new things. So I guess, Craig, you're right, right? So I think that the last episode I was a little bit negative, and I think I have a little bit of I have a grudge against web technologies lately. I like all the ones online now, but I've been having some difficulty. So I think I've been negative, and I think that's why I wanted to know where you guys sat in the world of your web and the Chrome and the Chrome OS. I have not had the chance to open my Chromebook in the past week and a half. I will be honest with you. So you know, it's been that's why I say it's been a little bit of a whirlwind. And Craig and James, I appreciate you guys putting the show notes together, which are all the news articles. I had to read them tonight, so I'm just being a little bit honest with you. So, let's turn it over to the man with all the power, Mr. Welbus, who can end this broadcast and start this broadcast. At any whim of his choosing.
I'll do it. I brought this broadcast into this world. I'll take it out.
That's right. James, you've got the show. I'm hoping you have the show notes in front of you.
Sure.
Which news article popped out at you? What are you liking? What's going on with Chrome that you're like, yeah, that's what I want to know about.
Oh man, all these things are stupid. I'm kidding. I'm kind of excited to talk about the Toshiba Chromebook 2. I'm hoping that you'll go to Craig first on that one, so that while he's talking about stuff and things, I can go ahead and read the review and then have something intelligent to say about it. But that looks exciting.
So the review is a video put out by Robbie Payne. That's the one thing. And to be honest, I haven't watched it. That's one review, and then there's another review that Joey over at OMG Chrome kind of put in there. Sorry, Robbie Payne's website is Chrome Unboxed, right? So he has a review out there as well. And then, so definitely check that out. And then also, OMG Chrome, Joey over OMG Chrome reports that there's actually like this crazy good review of a Chromebook, not just a Toshiba Chromebook, but of a Chromebook itself, where the person literally wrote a book of a review. I didn't get a chance to. I read about the first 2 or 3 paragraphs, and the person just literally went to town and wrote a book on this. Craig, how much of their Amazon review did you get a chance to read?
I read it all, and I also watched the video, and I did both of those things on my Toshiba Chromebook too.
Right. Well, I was going to say, and Craig also has a Toshiba Chromebook too with the IPS. Is it IPS or IPS?
I thought we discussed 2 weeks ago that I can't pronounce anything, so
that is true.
That was a
you cannot
backhanded insult there, John. Thank you, but it's got the 1080p HD display, which is stunningly small.
Well, now that's the one thing I did read in the review is when I scanned the first like 2 or 3 paragraphs. One of the things this person really mentions is he hits on, and I guess this is one of the reasons why Joey loves the review, is that the person hits on one of the cons that everyone talks about, which is the minimal. I mean, the size of the icons and things like that on the screen. The person actually goes over the fact that it's a really quick keystroke to get yourself, a resolution that increases the size of everything, as well as the Control Plus feature to increase the font on the screen. Yes.
Yes, they do. And those are tools that can be used to increase the resolution, John, and the page zoom. That's what I ended up doing. I could not deal with the tiny UI elements. They were just a little too small for me. Specifically, the text on the browser tabs. I couldn't deal with it. So I increased the resolution, or decreased it, whatever you want to call it. Things are bigger now. I have less space on the screen as a result. So multitasking is a little more difficult. It's same as it was on all of my other devices. Videos and things still play in 1080p, so you don't lose the benefit of watching 1080p videos by decreasing the resolution. And they are gorgeous, by the way. Gorgeous. I watched the new the Avengers on YouTube, the trailer in 60 frames per second. Gorgeous on the 1080p display. Gorgeous. It's better than the movies, John. But yeah. Other than that, it has a Bay Trail processor and it is sluggish. Slightly, and I say slightly better performance than the HP 11 with the old ARM chip. Not a whole lot better of an experience there. This model does have 4 gigs of RAM versus 2, so you can do a little more, but switching between things still takes that extra couple seconds. So you still feel sluggish as you're moving between items, and I feel like that's something that really needs to be noted. For someone that's going to use a device like this full time, you're going to experience it. It's not something that you're going to just occasionally see. It's not one of those rare things that you're only going to run into every now and then. It's going to be a consistent experience issue. Of course, I also expect a lot out of these devices. I have the Haswell A6720. It's fantastic, and it's even a little slow sometimes, but it does pretty well. But the Bay Trail is the biggest thing for me, the biggest issue. The display, I can fiddle with the resolution, fix it, but the Bay Trail can't be fixed. So that's my biggest gripe so far.
Yeah, and I've heard that, and I've actually steered people towards the Haswell if they can find them. But just because I did have I had my hands on those Bay Trails. Have you tried? Quick question, Craig. Have you tried any 3D rendering? Because remember when we had that. I had the 2 Lenovo's. They did not perform well 3D wise. Now that could also be the graphics chip, right? They can throw a better Intel graphics chip on there. Did Toshiba do that, or are we still looking at not as good of a experience?
I don't know about the graphics chip. I have not tried 3D, but I can say that just a 2D spreadsheet is painful, especially Google Sheets. Yeah, that's painful on any Chromebook, but it's especially noticeable on this. I was hoping with the extra resolution I would have more space to work. It didn't work out that way.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry about that. And see, that's so sad. I mean, you've got that 10. I don't know. James, what do you what do you think about the fact that you're getting part of what you want? I know that we've spoken about what you want in a Chromebook, what you're always looking for. You're looking for the backlit keyboard. That's number one, for some reason. And then you've got things like the 1080p IPS display, 900 by 1400 screen size. Here we have a Toshiba with 4 gig of RAM, an IPS display, and I saddle it with Bay Trail.
Yeah, it is. It's a little disappointing for some people that there doesn't seem to be a 4 gigabyte full HD IPS Haswell or better Chromebook, but I think it's. And correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a long time since I've bought a laptop, but it seems like everybody in the Chrome community seems to think that full 1080p IPS is like the industry standard for a laptop, and they just get all bent out of shape anytime a Chromebook is released without a full 1080p IPS display. I don't think most Windows laptops just come with that kind of screen. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's an industry standard. I don't think it's something that should be like expected of any laptop that comes out. I don't think it's really necessary, to be honest. I mean, I use my Chromebook for a lot of stuff, but I don't really use an 11.6-inch screen to watch movies or TV shows very often. And I'm not using it for, Photoshop. So I don't. I know that people that are the loudest in the community, if you read the Google Plus community and Reddit and stuff, you might get the idea that everybody's clamoring for this super awesome screen. But I think very few people are actually looking for that in a laptop, which I think is why most Chromebooks don't come with it. Some manufacturers are making it because they will sell. Some people will buy it, but I think most people would choose performance over that screen. And that's just my opinion. I think if it was otherwise, I think manufacturers would be catching on, and I think we'd be seeing a lot more really nice screens sacrificing performance.
Here's a question. So, James, I think you hit a quick point, and we'll move on here in a second. But the when you play a game like Bastion and it scales out to a 1080p screen, that's what most of the time that we see. Like Craig does watch movies on there, right? He watches, or at least you watch YouTube trailers. But James, you were in a Bastion like a beast there for a while, and I know that it's a great game and it looks visually stunning. If we were to get to a point where we're at, we do have where IPS displays are standard, my overall thought would be you've got to have the power with it, but yet we got to keep under the $300 sub range for a Chromebook, right? Is that?
Yeah, that's the thing is Chromebooks have been around for a while, but I think they're still in a place where if the average cost of a Chromebook starts creeping up to $350 a unit, I don't think they're going to continue to sell as well. I don't think there's enough people out there who understand the benefits of a Chrome device enough to make that kind of expensive purchase. I mean, when you look at the units that are selling on Amazon, the top 3 laptops last year were all Chromebooks, and if I remember correctly, I think they were all the less expensive models. I know the Samsung was the first one that was huge on Amazon, and that was only $250 and sometimes cheaper with sales, and that was the #1 device for like 2 or 3 years. And then the Acer C720 only cost $200. That was a top-selling device on Amazon for a while. So I think Chromebooks are still in that place where they need to be cheap to sell really well. And if you start, putting out a Pixel 2.0, I don't think it's going to sell very well.
Craig, I think the sub 300 I think is important. So can we? I mean, are we a couple of years away from that? Having a sub 300 model with the IPS and actually some power? Because I mean, Intel subsidized that Haswell chip, right? So this Bay Trail is their way of making money, and there's nothing wrong with making money. Trust me. Like I want to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. So, but it's just that right now the processing power is not available for the sub 300 market and making money for the manufacturer.
I think we're at a weird point in computing history. People are clamoring for cheaper. We're seeing that with HP making $200 Windows laptops. Performance at $200 and $300 is not great. It's not there. I don't know that it'll ever be there. And I'm not saying that computing won't get powerful enough, cheap enough, but I think that companies that are making $200 laptops today aren't making money doing it. And in the future, when computing becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, they're going to want to keep that price point, not drop it down any lower, and start making money on them. So I don't think we're going to see computing increase quickly, and I think that price point is going to remain consistent for what you're going to get. I think when it comes to the idea of a Pixel 2, which don't get too excited, but there is some interesting developments there. The board name is Samus, I think, and if you do a search in the Google Plus community, you'll find that they're entering some final stages of development testing for that. So I think OEMs are not interested in creating the comparative ultrabooks form factor for Chromebooks today. Like James said, I don't think they're confident enough in the sales. I do think that if one OEM stepped up and said, we're going to do this, I think they would own that entire segment of the market. I don't think that entire market segment is very large. They would probably sell a couple thousand units, maybe less than 10,000, maybe less than 100,000, but certainly not the millions that Samsung sold last year, specifically to schools. So I think for a while we're going to be in a space where if you want an ultrabook alternative, you're going to have to look toward Google for a reference design model. Whether it's classified as the Pixel or whatever you want to call it, I think it's going to be up to Google to set the high-end standard. And Google's going to have to do that essentially at a loss. They're going to invest time and money in development, and they're not going to make it back on sales. But their goal isn't to make it back on sales. It's to really reach that top-end market segment that are going to go elsewhere unless there's a Chromebook to satisfy their wildest dreams. Because someone who comes from a Windows-based Ultrabook is not going to be happy with an HP 14. They're not going to be happy with an HP 11. They're not going to be happy with any of the Samsung models. They're going to need that extra kick, whether it's the extra CPU or the 1080p display or the 4K display. Whatever it is, they're going to need that extra selling point. Maybe it's just the backlit keyboard. So I think Google's got to kind of carry that market. So I'm hopeful that we'll see some sort of refresh because I do think the Pixel is showing its age. And we just got confirmation that LG is no longer making the screen that the Pixel uses. So the ghosting issue is never going to be solved. And future production is probably ruled out at this point. So don't expect new Pixel units to be rolling off the factory floor. If it's going to be something new, it'll be an entire new device.
Well, that sounds good to me.
If.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't hear it here first.
You heard it here first, guys. Craig Tomlinson, leap the Pixel 2.0.
3.0.
Exactly.
HP 11.
HP 11 is not a Pixel.
It was a reference model.
Mm-hmm.
The Pixel naming scheme doesn't matter. When you, well, it's actually you're looking for the Pixel 4 because Google has produced 3 reference models: the CR48, the Pixel, and the HP 11. So you're looking for the 4th reference model, and set your expectations based on that, not based on some Pixel 2.0, but compare it to the CR48, the Pixel, and the HP 11.
Okay. I guess. Well, all right. Well, all of that aside, right? Craig, now it's your turn. What of the news this week really set you afire?
Several things, but last week.
No, not several things. Not several. Just one. The main one. What jumped out at you and said, you know, this is going to be awesome?
Okay. Last week, at the start of the week, they released Milestone 40. Chrome updated to Milestone 40 for stable channel users. Woo. And yeah, this one had been stalled a little while because there was a development freeze like there is every December where they sit down and strategize. And people were getting a little antsy. There were a few bugs in Milestone 39 that people really needed solved. So this release popped out. It seems to be working pretty well. There's only a few major issues that we're tracking. One of them is related to Wi-Fi. The team's aware, and fixes are incoming for that. But I think Wi-Fi was the biggest issue we've seen so far, and like I said, those are being addressed. So, so far it's been a pretty stable update compared to everything else. It also introduced a couple new features. Custom wallpapers can now be synced, if I remember correctly. So if you have picked your own wallpaper in the wallpaper app, it'll sync across your Chrome devices. One less thing to change after a power wash. Yay. And we also Smart Unlock, or Smart Lock, which is the Bluetooth, no longer need to type in your password as long as you're connected to an Android phone running Lollipop or higher. That was released sort of. It's a beta, but it's now available to everyone running the stable channel. Google is looking for feedback on that. So if you have a good experience or a bad experience or a neutral experience, whatever your experience is, hit Alt-Shift-I on your keyboard, send a feedback report. They are tracking those. They are looking for ways to improve it. And for those of you that are worried about it, because 30 feet is a pretty long distance for your stuff to stay unlocked, there is a flag in Canary at the moment for testing a stricter limit on proximity, where it'll use, I don't know how exactly it does it, maybe it's based on strength of signal, but it tries to figure out when your phone and your Chromebook are separated by more than a few feet, and it'll turn the feature off temporarily so that your Chromebook is locked again, rather than just waiting for Bluetooth to completely disconnect. So they are releasing and revising here, which tends to be the Google strategy.
Actually, I love that. I think that's fantastic, because that's been the major complaint, right? Or not complaint, but major concern about that feature.
Yeah, that was one of the top feedback reports, as far as I'm aware. That and compatibility with less than 5.0, but I have no news to share there.
Yeah, that's going to be a tougher sell. All right, so yeah, I'm definitely down. I mean, the wallpaper syncing, honestly, it seems like a trivial thing, but I think, Craig, you hit the nail on the head. Like, I power wash my device probably once a month. Honestly, just to give me that nice fresh OS feeling. I usually power, and so not to have to refresh that is, because getting into it like that is nice. So
on that same note, John, you'll be happy to learn that they are also planning. It's either in Canary or Dev Channel at the moment, and I think they're still improving on it before it'll be finalized. They are going to start syncing Wi-Fi credentials if you opt in. So you won't, if you visit your grandma's house once and log in, it won't matter how many times you power wash your Chromebook. When you go back, you won't have to log in again.
That's good, because my passphrase for my home Wi-Fi is enormous. so that'd be sweet. All right, well, good deal. So let's check out some more stuff here. You know what jumped out at me as the sexiest news story of the week. Not that one that's been highlighted. You know what? Because I've steered people away from ARM Chromebooks for a long time, and I'm going to continue to. And you know what? It's not the Chrome apps updated with material design icons either. You know why? Although the awesome graphics of that article, really good. But we'll come back to that. The biggest feature, the biggest one I see this week, actually comes down to the education market and the enterprise market being able to disable their devices. And yes, that's the one that's highlighted now. This to me was huge. I mean, like big. And not only that, but they've done it really well, where you have to. Google requires that you have to set one feature before you're allowed to do this feature, right? And that is the whole forced re-enrollment. So even if you power wash, it's still got to come back to home base and get all synced up. So you have to have that set up first. So like if I take this Chromebook home and it's my education Chromebook and I power wash it, well now it's mine. You can be all like that. But if you force and re-enroll and then you get the device back and everything's good, now you can actually disable it. And what it actually prompts is when someone opens the Chromebook, a screen pops up and is like, no, it's not yours. It's been disabled. Hit this phone number and this address if you need more assistance with that. Practically you've got a brick. So. I'm all for protecting. They've got the Android device management, and now they've got this. I think this really brings it full circle. I mean, you're talking about a laptop, right? I mean, I realize that you can't reach any of the data because it's a Chromebook. You know, you'd have to sign in and into your own stuff. But I mean, like literally, this gives you the education market and the enterprise market the ability to do a little bit more than they can do. I mean, like nowadays, you sign into Outlook on an Android device or an iPhone into a Office, Enterprise Exchange. Exchange actually has the ability now to where you have to say, grant them the right to wipe my device, right? So I think this just gives the enterprise that extra option. I think that was the big news, of this last week and a half. James, do you think it's we've talked about the whole unlock feature with your phone? They're coming out with some good stuff there. And then now we have also the ability to disable a device if it's on a domain.
Are you asking a question?
Well, I'm hinting that anything you'd like to add about how cool that is, because that really is the best thing in the week.
It's pretty cool. I'm a little disappointed because I don't have a Lollipop phone, and I'm not using a Nexus, so my phone will probably never get Lollipop. So that's a little disappointing. As a guy who likes to test things, I was not able to jump in and test out the smart lock. So, but in May, when I can upgrade, I will be playing with the smart unlock, unless by some miracle that either my phone gets it or maybe they enable smart lock for non-Lollipop phones, but I don't really see that happening. So I'm happy for others. Craig, I'm sure you're loving the smart lock, but I'm a sad panda over here. I don't get to play with it.
I am not loving the smart lock. I don't trust it.
That doesn't surprise me. Have you tried the flag that tries to shorten the range?
I have not tried that because when I demoed the pairing, I didn't do it on the device that had Canary. I did it on one of my devices that was unstable. The experience was all right. I had trouble getting it to pair with my Moto X. I ended up pairing it with my Nexus 4, I think.
This guy's got 2 Lollipop devices.
Well, 3 if you got the watch. Which is running 5.01. Yeah.
Whoa.
Or maybe 5.0. I don't know. Anyway, point being, it was an alright experience. I don't trust it myself. I think it might be too easy to spoof it. I don't understand it well enough to trust it wholeheartedly. To your point, John, I think adding this ability to the management console for Enterprise and EDU is amazing. I know they've wanted this feature for a long time, and I think it's really well implemented. Mike over at the product forums did some testing on this today. He has access to a management console for some reason. He did some testing. He found it somewhat easy to configure and kind of manage. And he had a great write-up that I can't share because it's not public. But it was really interesting. It seems like this is a tool that administrators are going to be able to use easily. There's not a big learning curve to it. It's just another setting. So if your organization currently provisions devices and you manage them, then checking off a box, putting in some contact info if one goes missing is not going to be, it's not going to delay the time between when it gets stolen and when you're able to recover it. So you don't need to worry about sitting down and making sure you're prepared. This is definitely something that can be done after the device is taken because it's not going to cause problems. It's very straightforward. And I think that was a big part of the implementation too. Anti-theft software that doesn't work unless it's been set up 48 hours in advance is not very helpful once the device goes missing. So I applaud this feature.
I like it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I don't have a Lollipop either. I have a Moto X, and actually I was just double checking to see if it was ever going to get it.
They are doing soak tests of the 2013, but it'll probably end up being delayed because Google's going to be pushing out 5.1 soon, and they'll have to do another soak test to test that. But Google's been delaying it, essentially, because they keep releasing these minor revisions, and then Motorola has to do another and another and another soak test. So you'll get it eventually, I promise.
See, the Moto X, this device will be upgraded to Android 5, pending partner support. All right. All right, so all good things, right? All good things. Craig, what's the #1 streaming device in the U.S.?
Amazon Fire Stick. No, probably
No,
not.
it's not.
Chromecast.
It's not. What? No, it's not.
Chromecast.
Nope.
Well,
No.
I figured because every time I go to Amazon, it's this giant. Basically, whenever I go to Amazon, most of the screen is an ad for that, and then the search bar is behind the ad. I just assumed. I mean, if it's everywhere, then everyone must have one, right?
I think so. I think Amazon. You're right. Amazon always goes big, right? They just go big and in your face. I mean, it's like those advertisements with what's his face and his just big. The #1 streaming device in the U.S. is a Chromecast. Were either of you surprised by that? I mean, the shock and awe that I felt when I learned that. Simply amazing. I mean, the fact that it offers Netflix, Pandora, I mean, Hulu, I mean, you name it, they got it. And they say that the streaming is up 60%. 60%. I mean, that's nuts. That is nuts. James, are you part of that 60%?
I am.
You are?
I am. I watch Netflix with it.
The Netflix, okay.
Yeah.
Craig, what about you?
I used mine this morning because one of my family members is taking a trip with another family member, and they were trying to plan out how they were going to navigate the airport. So I pulled up Google Maps on my phone and casted that to the TV and showed them that there's a land bridge you walk over so that you don't get hit by cars.
Sexy bastard. You're using the whole... Yeah, nice. I've only used that once. I actually played a video game on TV and on my phone to show my daughters what I was doing. It worked out really well. It did die eventually, but...
Well, that's to be expected if you're in control.
No, I meant the signal died. I lost the ability.
I do want to point out that the article says that this is the #1 streaming device. It doesn't say the best-selling device.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, I'm not. It's not even correcting you. I just find it interesting because Google isn't necessarily saying that it's sold more than an Apple TV or a Roku. They're just saying it's being used more, which is interesting because people may own multiple devices, but if the Chromecast is the one that people are levitating to, that speaks to user experience.
Truth.
It does. And you're absolutely right. The fact that Google made it drop dead simple, no matter what device you're on, iOS or Android, that if you have a Chromecast button on your app, you press it, and you're casting to your thing. I mean, literally, they were able to reach, and they also had market share, right? I mean, they were able to say, this is from Google, this is in stores, it's $25 to $35, depending on the sale week, and then the minor, there was like 6 or 12 apps to begin with, and one of them I think was Hulu. So like literally, it exploded because it could, right? And then the SDK came out, and then finally all the other apps were able to jump on board. I mean, you got to applaud them getting into this. I mean, 60% streaming. I mean, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, there was a lot of complaining when it first came out. A lot of people were upset that it didn't support more apps at first, and that they didn't release the SDK right away. And I think Google did it. I don't think they could have done it really any better. Right out of the gate, it came out supporting Netflix, which is like the most important one, obviously. It's the most used one. It supported that and YouTube, and of course Google services. And then Hulu was one of the first ones to get added on, and HBO Go. So I think they wanted to make sure it was going to be a good experience before they just let everybody and their brother start implementing Chromecast support into their thing. So I remember there being a lot of complaining back in the day, and but I just want to go on record as saying I was sticking up for Google the whole time. I think they did it the right way, and now it's really successful. You don't see a whole lot of complaints about it. I would say you see the average number of complaints you'd expect for any piece of technology. Most people are super happy with it. It's inexpensive. By now, it pretty much supports anything you could possibly think about streaming, and it's just an amazing device. I think it's way better than pretty much any other device, just because I don't need a new controller for it. I just use my phone or my computer. I don't need another controller laying around that I'm going to lose like I would with a Roku box or something.
That's a good point. Any computer you own with Chrome on the network, or any phone that you have on the network is basically a controller. And that's pretty hot. Well, and then also now the guest mode, right? So that is really cool. James, pop quiz, hotshot. What was the one feature after the material design upgrade of Chrome Mobile that you wanted and is now back and even better than ever?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So, when they iterated the material design of
I don't care about material
Chrome,
design. I'm not. Are you saying that there was something I was looking for? Because
yeah,
I'm so uninterested in material design that I'm not sure what you're talking about.
no, it's so. Let me spell it out for you, or maybe Craig could highlight it for you in the show notes. When we went to a material design of Chrome for mobile, for Android specifically, you were like, as a web developer, you were like, where the F is my refresh button? I need a refresh button.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
So
that's amazing.
So here's the deal. Pull to refresh comes to Chrome for Android beta. Now, if you've used any, even Mail on, even the stock Mail app for Android now comes with where you pull it down, it checks for mail, right? So the pull down refresh is a very common function in many apps, many apps.
I think Facebook started it.
No, because Facebook's the devil. The first one that started it was a small independent app from a small mom and pop shop that had a cart app for their store, and Facebook stole it from Ma and Pa Kettle. So I just wanted to bring it. I didn't write the show notes. First of all, Craig did. I think Craig did. I don't know if James, you might have done it, but I wanted to bring that up because I know that James, as a developer, you really were like, "Come on, man! Did you really have to hide my refresh app?" So I think that it's pretty cool that I think that, and Craig, you want to pipe in here for a second on this. Dinsan over at ChromeStore.com made a comment in his article about it, about people that are not necessarily looking for this, and what might happen if they swipe down in that manner to get the update, get the refresh, what they would be looking at. Because I mean, someone like me, you, James, where we want to see what happens, right? We're going to be like, woo-hoo, yeah, I want to refresh that, right? For other people, it might not be that important, but I think for developers especially, it's going to be an important feature. But what do you think about the fact that of Dimson's comment about your normal person who might be on Facebook and then hits that feature?
Well, I think Dinson has a point about people picking up on gestures and then wanting to use them in other places. I think that's getting more and more common, especially among people that are not quite as tech savvy, where they learn how one app works and then they want to apply that same knowledge to every other app they have. And I think that boils down to consistency. That's one of the things that material design is trying to address, making sure that apps behave consistently across the entire ecosystem. And I know James just turned off all of his ears while I said that, because he hates material design. But consistency, yes, you do.
It's not ARM.
I hear you. I see what you did there. We're going to get to that. But I think it boils down to consistency. One app should not behave radically different from another. So when you're in Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter probably, and you pull down to refresh, and then you open up Chrome browser, and suddenly pulling down doesn't refresh the page, it's a little jarring. And the fewer of those little jarring moments we can create, the better off we're going to be long term. So, consistency.
I'm not really worried about accidentally refreshing the page, because it doesn't refresh if you just swipe down anywhere. You have to be scrolled all the way to the top of the page and then try to scroll a little bit further past the top. So there's not a whole lot of instance where I'm going to be trying to scroll past the limit for reasons other than trying to refresh the screen. So I'm not super worried. Plus, Facebook and Google Plus randomly refresh all the time anyways for absolutely no reason, so you're already kind of dealing with that. What's a little bit more random refreshes?
Well, I mean, I think that the fact that it's a web page and you have to scroll up and down, the fact that they had to put it at the very, very top, I think that I don't know how often. I think that's kind of the point, right? I mean, how often does someone really want to refresh a page? Unless it's a weather page, I don't know. That aside, I guess what we'll do is we'll move on, right? Well, I think it very noteworthy because James was literally was like, when he first opened the material design, I know the design might not have worked well, but the first thing he noticed was that his refresh button was gone. And as a heavy user of mobile Chrome, I think that was a key indicator of something that might have been missing. So I think that's kind of nice that they feature back. So
it's worth noting that the old refresh button is still there, so you can still refresh the old school way.
Right.
Just so if like they didn't just take the refresh button away and just hope that old people figure out how to refresh a page.
Nice. So, no, Craig. All right, fine. Listen. So, I guess, why do I have a bias? You know what it is? Because in every other aspect of my life, I don't have a bias. I'm very middle of the road. But when it comes to Chrome, I really am biased. I'm like, and it's terrible because there are people out there that love their ARM Chromebooks, and I think that I'm glad that they're very happy with them. And I think I wish them all the best. And I think that when you buy a Chromebook, the one that you buy is the one that you love. It's just the way that it is. It's the way that I've found every Chromebook user I've ever met. But ARM be damned. I'm never going to buy an ARM-based Chromebook. I will buy an ARM-based phone 50 times a day if I had the money, or the need for 50 phones. But big news in regard to ARM Chromebooks. You can now upload music to Google Play with your ARM Chromebook. This has been a stunted feature on ARM, and I believe because of TPM DRM, right, Craig?
It's because they used native client instead of portable native client originally.
Ah, so I was totally wrong. That's okay. I'm allowed to be wrong at least once a year, so I filled my quota. So, good deal. So now, and that's a listen. Win for ARM. That's all I got. Craig, do you have anything else?
This has been a massive pain point for a lot of people, especially when you consider that the Samsung Series 3 ARM Chromebook is the top-selling Chrome device, period, to date. So having a feature missing from your best-selling device is problematic. So basically this boils down to feature parity, finally. It's good news for the people that have those devices and are not subscribers of Google Play All Access, but still use Google Play Music. A small but vocal minority. I will say, now that I've used a Bay Trail device, I really like ARM more than ever. Not necessarily because of the performance, because I agree it's lacking, but because Intel can't do much better, honestly, on their lower-end chips. The trade-off is not ARM specific. It's all chips. If you want better battery and you want fanless, you have to sacrifice power. The only reason why Bay Trail is slightly faster than the ARM chip on the HP11 is because the Bay Trail chips are a year newer, and this year's chip is always a little bit better than last year's chip, period. So I think that ARM is competitive with Intel at the lower level. I really do. And so this was kind of reinforcing getting to use a Bay Trail chip. It reinforced that. I don't think that ARM is the problem anymore. I think the lower price point is really the problem, because at the lower price point you sacrifice the power. So I mean, this was the last major pain point for ARM users. If you're going to try to use Linux, you'll run into a lot more. But for stock Chrome OS, this was the last major one. At this point, I am perfectly happy recommending an ARM chip just as frequently as I would recommend a Bay Trail chip, which happens to be never. But I think at this point there's a parity.
That's not telling, Craig. That's not telling at all.
Well, I think they're on level footing, and it's just not footing that I think anyone should ever have to deal with.
Exactly. Thank you. All right. Okay. I'm saying I agree with you. That's all.
Thank you. That's comforting.
I think it's kind of silly. If you remember when the Samsung Series 3 Chromebook came out, it was ARM, and Netflix actually didn't work on it yet. It took them. The Series 3 was released in October of 2013, and Netflix started working in February. So it took like 4 months for them to get that figured out. It took them a lot longer than that to get Google Music to work. Once they made uploading music work on a Intel-based Chromebook, it took like almost a year, I think, before, maybe not, that's a little, I think it's about 6 or so months before they got that work on an ARM Chromebook. So I think a lot of people were just getting frustrated and saying, why is it taking so long to give us this ability? It felt like forever waiting for Netflix support to come around. It took even longer for uploading music support to come around. So I think people are feeling like Google isn't really taking ARM Chromebooks very seriously, which is probably a problem considering the number of Chromebooks out there that are running on ARM chips. I think, I don't know. It didn't bother me because I don't own any ARM chips, but I know that there are people out there that were getting pretty frustrated having to wait for a feature like that. It's kind of a punch in the face. They probably read a headline that said, you can now upload music on a Chromebook, and they said, all right, and they went in and they tried it, and they're like, why isn't it working? And then they actually went back and read the article, and it doesn't work on ARM Chromebooks. That sucks.
I do want to point out that the reason for the time difference was mostly technical. Getting Netflix support for ARM was easy considering that Netflix was already in process of implementing HTML5 based DRM management. And the reason why the music uploading didn't work on ARM was because native client was being used instead of portable native client, because portable native client was still in development. So Google was literally building the technology necessary over the course of the last few months to make it possible, whereas Netflix was they were moving toward a standardized system. So they were already using, they had something to move forward to. Google was building it as they went, and that was part of the problem. To the point where Google, you get the impression that it's an ugly stepchild. The HP 11 was Google's third reference design. So they are committed to ARM, especially with the number of ARM devices currently on the market and being sold and being cherished and being destroyed by students. So right. And more portable native client is the proof. It's the commitment Google's been making on the technical level to make it easier for developers to target once and run across all architectures. And as we see that come to fruition, it's still not finalized, but it's good enough to release a music upload tool. As we see it become finalized, I think we're going to start to see truly powerful apps being built once and running everywhere. And I'm excited for that, because I think we have had some hiccups, especially with the Google Plus photo editor and things like that. And I'm looking forward to not having those problems anymore.
So the whole thing with the the Pinnacle and the native client, we actually had an episode way back in the day, like way back. Oh my goodness, like almost a year ago. We had an episode about the Pinnacle versus Nasal, or however you want to call them. I think it is. They call them one Nasal, one Pinnacle, or you can call it the native client versus Pinnacle, or portable native, or you know what I'm talking about. I think Craig's point about the fact that they were literally building the technology as it was needed, understanding the demand, getting it done. So it's pretty hot. I'm going to gloss over this one just because I think it's necessary. I'm gonna pull the Chuck Norris bar and just I don't have any Chuck Norris videos because I don't own Universal, and I'm just going to get it done and say Logitech accessories now work better with Chromebooks. Joey over OMG Chrome talks about the fact that there is now if you've ever used a Logitech device, they have their little Wi-Fi USB connectors that go into the computer. They have that little symbol about the unifying. It's a Logitech thing. I don't know if they own it or if it's just their branding of a certain Wi-Fi technology, but they actually have a web app, an app in the Chrome Web Store to allow you to connect up to 6 devices. I think it's 6, might be more to be honest. I know that I saw the number 6 in there somewhere. Head over to OMG Chrome though to check out the full article, but Logitech accessories now work better because of this app that Logitech created that allows you to connect more devices. I think that the other big news, there's 2 other big newses and then one like really small. The other really small one is that Mosaic due to be removed from the Chromebook gallery app.
You get it, though.
Basically, that weird view where like your pictures were like one was really big and then there was a couple little small ones, then everything. While it looked neat, most people were like, "What the?" Because the big one was in your focus of your eyes, right? So it didn't work for a gallery. It just doesn't, because it brings one to the focus and the rest of them are all small, and it's just nobody really liked it. But I applaud the person who ever designed it and developed it, because you know what, that's just the way I feel this week. Next up, there's two things. There's three listed there. Oh, that's right. Okay, so let's get to this one. We always listen. We have to talk about this off the air. But really, an hour and more every single episode. How are we to do this? But anyway, I digress.
You should do that more often.
Digress. You, sir, are going to make me go on another rant that will cause this episode to be even longer.
I'm trying.
That's right. That's right. But I digress. Google Chrome apps updated with material design icons. I urge every single one of you, and James, if you haven't done it yet, to go to omgchrome.com and check out the updated Chrome apps with material design icons. I know you don't like material design, but I think you will appreciate the really great graphic that was created that shows you all of the old icons, all of the new icons with a material design wallpaper background. And I don't know whether the creator, whether they use Photoshop or something else. The fact that they lined up some of the icons perfectly with the wallpaper, I don't know if that was on purpose. I'm not sure. But if you wanted to get an idea of what the material design icons look like versus the non-material design icons, I can tell you though, I'm on beta. I'm on 41, and one of my icons didn't change. I'm not sure why. My Google Forms icon did not turn into the smaller one. Not sure why. Have we all reviewed? Craig, have you taken a look at that graphic?
It haunts my dreams.
How many hours do you think that the person spent coming up with that?
Well, the designers for the icons probably paid a lot of more attention than the person that threw them together.
I hope not.
Well, it took the person that threw them together embarrassingly, it took them a little bit longer to get them because they updated, right? But the Google Drive and YouTube icons they're not apps that were installed on their Windows PC, so they weren't easy to get to. So they actually had to start their Chromebook in dev mode, disconnect the Wi-Fi to pull the old icons out using the terminal, sync those to Google Drive so they could access them in Photoshop, and then update, pull the new icons, and then move them over as well. The rest of the process, lining up with a grid, took about 2.5 minutes because grids are fantastic. But yeah.
Are you listening, Pixeler? Grids are fantastic.
Oh yeah, they are.
Stupid Pixeler.
I'll give you the PSD. You can see my pretty grid.
Oh wait, Craig, are you saying that you made this awesome image?
I have the PSD from the designer.
No, but so as you well know, everyone who watches the show, all of the 40 watchers right now, and James can confirm that. We have Joey over OMG Chrome and Craig have labeled this image that Craig did create it, and if you're down with icons, which we are here on the show, you'll see that it's a what is. Here's the thing. It's so subtle that they have a rounded edge on the dog ear to then a pointed edge to then a rounded edge. You wouldn't think it'd be. Finally, I know exactly. Finally, I'm not getting paper cuts from my Google apps. Right.
I can't believe that original design made it out. Like nobody looked at it and said, why are 3 of the corners on this piece of paper rounded and the 4th one sharp and pointy? Like
Stop.
nobody. Come on.
You're making fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you.
Yes, you are, because I made a post about that.
You did. Craig,
I did.
Craig did make a
And I
post.
complained, not pointy versus rounded, but I complained that the Google Keep icon has a different corner folded. And it still does. The updated one of it still has a different corner folded. And it drives me a little bonkers.
I like it because it's easier to tell it apart from the Sheets icon.
You're wrong.
I am correct.
You
It's
are
a
wrong.
Square. It's a square instead of a rectangle, and it has a different corner.
Well,
They still
square
make
is
it a
fine.
different shade of yellow. That would help.
Well, here's my problem. The Google Keep team is separate from everybody right now, but it's technically a Drive product, so it should just match all of the other Drive product icons.
The fact that the dog ear is on the bottom right instead of the top right, is that also kind of a conundrum? And the fact that the light bulb is now like the size of Christmas versus all the other ones are all real small. Does that bug you?
It's mostly the corner.
It's okay.
I didn't even notice that until just now.
Wait, no, hold on. Wait. How do I make that icon bigger? Craig, you know. Shoot. But I'm looking at the icon right now, Craig, and it's actually...
So in Joey's article, he shows the one with the pointy in his what do you call those things? The things at the top of the screen.
Yeah, they've changed the
Slider.
Keep icon since his version.
Yeah. So now
I hope so.
it's stop. It is in the bottom. It's still in the bottom right, but it is rounded now, where it was pointy before.
Yeah,
Yes,
they've changed
as a
it.
slider.
Yeah, they've updated that, but they did not update that in time to make my nice, pretty image.
I
Yeah.
wondered why it wasn't on there.
Yeah, they also updated something else too. The Google Plus icon.
Yeah, the
And
Google Plus icon, it looks darker and kind of smaller.
It's tiny, John. It's there's no other description. It's tiny. I don't
It's
know
even
what they
smaller
did
than
with the.
Keep one.
Well, my question is just what did they do with the medium-sized one? We got the small one. Okay,
It is
we know.
really small.
I bet you
We
can't
got-
even see it on your Toshiba.
Not with the native resolution, no way. It's like 3
It's just a
pixels.
red dot.
Yeah, 3 or 4 pixels. And where's its corner?
Where is its corner, Craig? Where is its corner?
Yeah, it should have a little corner. Or where's that little pencil for a new post icon? Come on.
And can we give a different icon to the other Play Music app? And maybe give it a name other than Play Music, so I don't have 2 apps called Play Music right next to each other that look exactly the same.
I suspect, well, number one, they don't look exactly the same. One has darker shadows. But,
I don't see that on mine.
well,
Well,
Look a little
to a
closer,
layman,
I'm looking at a 1080p IPS display, and they look exactly the same.
then
No,
your
they're
eyes are
darker.
wrong.
James, they're darker. Yeah, they're
Mhm.
totally darker.
Not mine.
Look, put them in the same folder.
They're right next to me. I'm looking at them. They're right next to each other. They're exactly the same.
No. Wait. Craig, you are a liar.
Craig's just messing with us. He's trying to trick us with the placebo effect thing.
They are 100% identical, Craig.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Mysteries of the universe, I guess. But here's what I'll say. I expect them to stay the same for a while. There's some talk of an upcoming packaged app that would allow for things like caching music offline. And I would expect that would replace both the mini player and the link to the web to the hosted version, if and when we see that app eventually. So I would expect the icons will stay the same, the names will stay the same until they both disappear and a third one shows up.
There you go. All right, hold on 1 second. I am actually using
I
the
wish I could
folder
change
function.
icons.
The folder function of Google of the apps right now. So hold on a second. All right. So awesome stuff. Nothing better than news about icons. You know, oh, I hurt inside sometimes. The Craig or James. Okay. So scanning on a Chromebook is not fun. To the hard work of a number of developers, they did create an API to allow you to scan with a Chromebook. It's still in like a Sorta type of thing. James, have you? I know that you're all about the cloud printing and the scanning. You're like on top of it, like
Yes.
Yeah, I totally ruined that joke. That's okay. I know that you're all over it. Have you had a chance to check out the API? Have you downloaded the app from Francois?
Nope. But it is on my list of things to try because currently, since I am sick and tired of rooting my phones, scanning is now the one and only thing that I still have to crack open the Windows machine for. And luckily, I don't have to do it very often. When I sold insurance, I had to scan lots of things, and so it would have been a bigger deal back then. So, but it would be nice to just check that off my list and actually be able to say that I am 100% Chrome OS, because right now I'm like 99.9999% Chrome OS, and I have to use that stupid Windows machine if I ever want to scan something. So yes, definitely on my list, but I have not tried it out yet. I'm excited though. I hope it works and I can chuck the Windows machine out the window.
There you go, Craig. I don't know why, but I've never been much of a scanning guy, right? So I haven't had really much need to scan stuff. Have you had a chance to use this API, this app by Francois?
No, but only because I don't need it. My Epson scanner scans to Google Drive wirelessly, so cables are bad. I don't understand why we're stepping back. I understand that some people need them, but at the same time, this API is not going to make the debut in a bunch of firmware updates for old printers. It's probably only being made available to satisfy a few enterprises that are going to pay outside consultants to custom write firmware to get a big, expensive $30,000 printer that they bought 6 years ago to print and scan properly. So I don't think consumers should get too excited about this. I don't see it really. Put it this way: I don't see Samsung or Epson investing time and money in supporting this new API in new printers that are going to be cable-based when they have already invested in meeting the APIs for cloud print and cloud scan. So I don't see them making an extra investment to support a smaller and smaller group of people moving forward.
Totally agree. But that's me. You know what? Because I'm a curmudgeon a little bit. Last up on the list has to do with Android development. So I have an Android. Craig has an Android. Craig has multiple Androids. I mean, he has one on his wrist. I think he has a chip embedded in the back of his skull. I'm not sure which. By the way, did you hear about the death of Glass? Like, seriously, what?
No. Glass is not dead. Stop saying that.
No, but it is. But
Google
it is.
Plus is dead. Remember?
No, Google Plus has never
Nobody
been
uses
allowed.
that.
So the whole glass thing. Let me tell you what I heard, Craig, and then you can kind of either confirm or deny from your quasi-true Google status of being an employee there.
You're gonna get me fired.
That's what I'm saying. So Glass has gone under the Nest section of Google, which is a recent purchase of Google, and that president is like, "Oh, beta programs? Yeah, no, right, right." This isn't some kind of Google X project where you sell these things for $1,500 and have the masses test them. Oh, hell no! I'm going to design something in-house, test it, and then release it as a product. I'm not going to have this whole like, Beta Explorer program, all this stuff. So basically, he not him himself, but through his stewardship, he's going to have the research and development team and the product teams actually like come out with a product out of the gate as a actual consumer product, not just a Beta Explorer program device. Craig, any arguments about that? I say arguments because I know what I'm talking about here.
Sure. What I've heard is that the concept of an Explorer program was something that Sergey pushed for heavily as part of Project X. So it was the idea was to throw this weird thing out there, get people involved, and then get feedback from those people. It worked. Everybody knows what glass is. Everyone has an opinion on glass. But eventually, you got to wind down the program because it was just an alpha test. And it's graduating from a weird, crazy experiment like self-driving cars or internet balloons, and it's becoming a product. It's getting a product team, it's getting product people, and it's going to get a product redesign. So now you have people that specialize in making consumer hardware overseeing it. I've heard that they're going to make some pretty big changes based on the feedback they've received. I look forward to seeing what those changes are. But as of now, glass is still planned as a consumer product. The idea is not going away. The core concepts probably aren't going away. It'll probably still have a camera. It'll probably still have a little glass thing in your face, or else they'll change the name. But it's not going away because of negative feedback. It's going to go through some revisions thanks to the feedback, positive and negative, and the great contributions by the glass explorers. So I'm excited, honestly, because with Google X projects, you never really know if it's going to end up being a consumer thing or if it's going to disappear. And now we've been told it's going the consumer route. It may be a little while, but that's the route it's going. I'm excited.
I'm with you. So, James, the last time a cyborg really stared you down, were you scared?
The last time a cyborg stared me down?
Yeah.
No. The last time a glass hole stared me down, though, yeah, I was pretty terrified. That's right, I said it.
I'm
actually yet to see Google Glass in person.
I have yet to as well. But I tell you what. So
I think
the term,
probably
the term,
had it. Yeah.
listen, the term glass hole. Like I've had invitations. I've had two. Or wait, I know I've had at least one. But I didn't have. It was $1,200 or $1,500, and I was like, you know what, I can't do that. I just can't. So, so I think the people that call them glass holes are the ones that didn't have the $1,500 at the time, and so they call them glass holes. The rest of the people are like, is that camera on, and is it recording me, right? Because that's just not cool, right? So that's where I think that type of fear came from. So the term glass hole. Craig, you want to say something?
Yes, I do. Two things. First, James, you have seen it in person. Remember Chicago? And to speak to the privacy concerns, I think that's something that their marketing team's going to have to address. They're obviously unfounded. It wouldn't matter. First of all, there's the technical issue that it can't record you all the time. The battery's not that big. But the second issue is that you have no privacy in public. You're on every security camera in the area. The idea of you being recorded by someone on public property is something that has been fully ingrained in the United States legal system. It's not new. It's not scary. You're on camera all the time, everywhere you go. People are already analyzing your face. Target does it. Kroger does it. They know who you are as soon as you enter the store, and they know what you're going to buy before you do, because you're not going to know what you're going to buy until you pass those Oreos and decide to buy them. So, I never really understood the privacy concerns. I understand why people that don't have the understanding were a little creeped out, but I don't understand why people that were intelligent enough to understand that not just the technology, but the fact that the technology already exists and it's already being used, were just so crazy about it, especially the tech journalists. They drove me insane with their coverage.
Again, I think I'm going to reiterate my statement that you are a glass hole because you spent $1,500 of your hard-earned cash. Instead of giving it to the United Way, you spent $1,500 on yourself on a beta program device. That's why you were called a glass hole. That's my personal feeling of why the glass hole term came about. I do think
it came about because the word glass rhymes with ass. I think that's literally all there is to it.
No.
It's
just like when Ricky Martin was popular. People said he was, he was. That's bad.
Who's Ricky Martin?
That's bad things. No, so you always want to put the guy down. You always want to put the person ahead, the person making strides, the person doing right, the person using their mind to exceed and excel and do good and make money. You always want to put that person down. That's just the way society works. Look at the Kardashians. So when you see someone wearing Google Glass, you know that they spent $1,200 or more, and then if they actually needed glasses, that's an additional like $200 to get the prescription filled. So now you've got a person wearing glasses and a computer on their face when the technology really, I mean, Google's the only one, so they're the on a wearable. So I mean, you're literally this beta user spending gobs of money that I mean, like more than your average PC that people are spending on stuff. So the term glass hole comes from honestly from haters, is what it comes from. So
that's one way to look at
it. I know, yes, glass does rhyme with ass, so that just works too. So, Android development on Chromebooks is where I was leading all that, and then I segued, and then I went on a little rant, and that always goes. That's how I roll. I roll in a series of rants. Android development, the ADB connector, and gentlemen, you guys are both familiar with this. It's going to be part of the Chrome shell coming up here, which is pretty cool. So you can ADB all day long.
Maybe. Don't get too excited here.
I know. The article talks about the fact that it's a proposed, it's considered, it's not a given, and the fact that Chrome is probably a year or two away from being a development environment for Android. Definitely not close, but
well, not really. I wouldn't go that far either. There's been some work in the background for a long time by developers on both sides of the table here. So the Chromium team, the reality is Google uses Chrome OS just as much as we do. So they are well aware of every bug, especially the major ones, and the inability to run ADB shell on Chrome OS frustrates them too. Not just third-party developers, it annoys Googlers too. So when we wait around for a fix, there's probably a good technical reason why the fix isn't there day one. Because as we know, Google culture is stay up till 2 a.m. on a Saturday and just fix it because you're sick of dealing with it. So the problem here is that Chrome OS has much stricter security than Windows and other platforms. So the app called ADB Shell for Chrome, which was developed by Kosh, who worked, or maybe he still does, for Cyanogen, basically he created a Chrome app that allowed you to use ADB Shell, called ADB Shell for Chrome. It works on Windows, I believe it works on Mac and Linux, but it will not work on Chrome because Chrome doesn't allow you access to a lot of guts unless you switch over to developer mode, and that's a whole big fuss. So what this ticket is it's filed by a Googler, it's marked as a bug, and basically it's saying, this is not what I expect. I expect it to just work. So we probably need to make it work. So this is not baking it into the system. This is allowing a third-party app written by someone else to solve the problem to work as expected on Chrome OS like it does on Chrome for Windows. Like I said, it's not really straightforward. This is about as complicated as it can get. But I wouldn't say that it's going to take forever to get implemented either. I think this is probably one of those things where it's going to be a developer that gets frustrated enough just going to decide to do it. I think so. That's the way the ticket kind of reads too. It was marked as priority 1, which internally is a pretty big deal, and it's been downgraded to a priority 2. So it's already faced one setback. But I think at some point somebody's just going to get frustrated and just make it happen, because that seems to be how some of this sort of things get solved. And if you happen to be a third-party developer that is frustrated, please open up all the open source stuff, take a look at the guts, and go ahead and fix it for us.
There you go. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap up this episode of Practical Chrome. With that plea to help. Yeah. Craig, where can people find you throughout the week so that, in case they didn't get enough of Craig Tumlison on the Practical Chrome show, where they were like, I don't care about those other two guys, where can I find Mr. Tumlison? Where can they find you throughout the week?
Well, I don't want to get too specific because I'm afraid you might have just sent a lynch mob in my direction. I'm sure people are pretty sick of me by now, John. We've been on the air for, what, 3 hours? 4 hours?
Something like that.
It's going on 5 a.m. in the UK, John. What have you done to us? Listeners that are still listening, probably you're either dead or your child set the TV to do something and you can't figure out how to fix it, can find me on Google Plus throughout the week, or Reddit, or the Google product forums, or via email. It's out there, I'm sure. So that's how they can find me, John. How can they find you?
No. It's not about me. James, where can they find you?
Oh, dang it. You know what? You can't really find me anywhere anymore. I don't have time for the internet. This is it. This is my internet right here.
So just in case you're wondering, if you do need assistance with your Chromebook, you could check out chromebook.support.com. Or is it chromebooks.support.com? No,
First of all,
.com. There's no .com. There's no .com.
There is no .com. And it's Chromebooks.support because Google bought Chromebook.support and is doing nothing with it.
You know what? You know how I feel about these these what's-her-name domains. But seriously, Chromebooks.support. If you do, there's actually James. Let them know what they can find there, because there is some really cool stuff there that I've checked out myself.
Well, there is some text walkthroughs for some things like Google Cloud Print, which was recently updated to include a lot more information. There's some information for transferring files between Chromebook and your phone, and there's also 8 or so videos of me just showing you how to do some basic stuff in a Chromebook. And there's also a you can ask questions there if you want to. I recommend probably just going to the official product forum. This website is mostly just for me to have fun and to build a website, but it is fully functional. There's some good information there, and if you do ask a question on that website, I actually will answer it.
See, there you go. Your own personal Chromebooks.support website. All for you. James will answer any question you have. Head on over there, or he'll just force you to go to product forums and have the masses answer for him. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the broadcast. I would like to thank everyone for watching. All 15 of you. Okay, none of you right now, at the moment. There's 0 viewers. That's okay. That's how we roll. We'll try and catch you next Tuesday at 10:10, where we'll dive into all of the Chrome news that is fit to print or to come out of my ranting mouth. Everyone have a good rest of the week, and we will see you next time. James, hit the stop broadcast button, sir. No, literally, I want you to hit the button, James. Now's good. Now's good too. Now's good too.